How has a regional conflict in Yemen rippled out to affect global maritime trade and security in the Red Sea? Central to this are the Houthi rebels, a group few have heard of before they started to attack commercial ships. But who are the Houthis? What do they want? And what is the current situation in Yemen all about? I'm gonna break this down for you as simply as possible. Yemen is the poorest country in the Middle East. Just under half of Yemen's population lives on less than $2 a day. They do have some natural oil and gas reserves, but due to the ongoing conflict, there isn't any company willing to do business there. And what little agricultural land they do have is pretty much focused on the cultivation of khat, a leafy green plant that when chewed has a similar effect to an amphetamine or speed. In 2008, a study from the World Health Organization found that approximately 90% of men and 73% of women in Yemen chew khat on a daily basis. Amongst all this, you have the Houthi movement, officially known as Ansar Allah, meaning supporters of God in Arabic. Began in the 1990s in northern Yemen, originating from the Zaidi Shiite minority. Their goal is to overthrow the Yemeni government, which is Sunni and supported by Saudi Arabia, while the Shiite Houthis are backed by Iran. Yemen doesn't have very much in the way of arms production, so all the military equipment which they have is acquired from the Iranians. This support has been a point of contention, bringing the Houthis into the larger Sunni-Shia regional conflict, with Iran and Saudi Arabia on opposing sides. The Houthis' aim is not only to take over Yemen, but to oppose US and Israeli influence in the Middle East. This is even stated on their flag, which has "Death to America, Death to Israel, and Curse the Jews" written in Arabic on it. The death of the group's founder, Hussein al-Houthi, the hands of the Yemeni military, sparked a civil war, the Houthi insurgency, in 2004. The group is now led by his brother, Abdul Malik al-Houthi, who also took part in the 2011 Yemeni revolution, gaining further territory for the rebels. It now controls much of Yemen's western seaboard, down to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a 16-mile stretch of water that marks the entrance to the Red Sea, a crucial global shipping choke point, where roughly 13% of the world's trade passes through, gives the Houthis leverage. They use attacks on maritime routes to flex their muscles and disrupt one of the world's key shipping lanes. The Houthis claim the attacks on civilian maritime targets, which are mostly just random commercial ships, are aimed at ending the Israeli offensive on the Gaza Strip in response to the 7th of October attacks by Hamas. Several ships have been attacked with drones, rockets, and in some cases helicopters have been used to drop militants onto commercial vessels. Brigadier General Yahya Sari signaled the militants were not going to stop their mission, saying it would continue until the aggression stops and the siege on our steadfast brothers in Gaza ends. Reaction by Western nations has been slow. The reason for this is every time the Houthis have launched an attack, the US and UK have been gathering intelligence on targets and locations of where those attacks are originating from. And on the 12th of January 2024, the US Air Force and RAF were able to strike around 60 Houthi targets across Yemen in one night. These strikes were aimed at their drone and missile launch sites, as well as radar installations. Even if the US airstrikes on the Houthis stop the commercial shipping raids, there is a risk that this could potentially escalate tensions with Iran. The fact that Iran is backing the Houthis adds a layer of complexity, makes the situation more delicate, and any further action by the US against the Houthis could be perceived as indirect aggression towards Iran, escalating it into a much wider conflict in the Middle East.